For more on this, we're joined by Mark Cancian. He's a retired U.S. Marine colonel and a senior advisor for the Center for Strategic and International Studies. And we reached him today in Arlington, Virginia. Mark, thanks so much for making time for us.
Thanks for having me on the show.
So what do you think that the fallout of this could be? Is there more escalation potentially in the future here?
Well, it's unlikely, but not impossible. It's unlikely because both sides have said that they want to de-escalate. The Hezbollah has struck Israel. Israel has responded. And both sides in the past have been able to step back. On the other hand, these are sworn enemies, and they are shooting at each other. It's certainly possible for events to get out of their control and lead to something broader.
Yeah, how did the events escalate to this point when, I mean, as you mentioned there, they have talked about wanting to de-escalate things in the past?
Well, Hezbollah and Israel have a many decade history of enmity, but Hezbollah has particularly stepped up its activities since the October attacks on Israel. They wanted to show that they were in solidarity with Hamas. So they've been attacking Israel at a relatively low level, skirmishing is what you might call it. This last rocket attack was probably not aimed at that field specifically, but it was aimed at Israeli settlements. And when you do that, sooner or later, you're going to hurt people. Israel has a firm policy that if they get hurt, they're going to hurt you back, and that's what we've seen.
With Israel's retaliatory attack here, they say that they were targeting this particular senior commander, and they say that he was killed in the attack. We can't independently confirm that, but I wonder if you can tell us about this senior commander and just how important he was to Hezbollah.
Well, he seems to have been quite important. I would describe him mostly as a planner. In military terms, he would be the G3, that is the operations officer who translates a commander's intentions, in this case Nasrallah, into specific actions. So he was a key member of Hezbollah and apparently planned many attacks, including the one on U.S. forces in Beirut, as well as this one.
Similar to what you mentioned, Mark, the White House press secretary said today that the U.S. doesn't believe an all-out war is inevitable here, that could still be avoided. But if there was further escalation here, how would you see the U.S. involvement potentially?
Well, the U.S. would probably be asked by Israel to increase its flow of equipment and supplies. Israel would essentially then be fighting on two fronts and would need more munitions. The United States has done this in the past, and some of them, defensive munitions, for example, are not very controversial, air defense, missile defense, but some of them, the offensive systems, can be quite controversial because of what's been happening in Gaza. So I would expect that the arguments would be over U.S. supplies to Israel.
Let's go in the other direction, de-escalation. What do you think would have to happen in order for that to be the result? You know, is there something that these two sides need to do, or is it just what they need to not do right now, Mark?
Well, mostly, if they de-escalate, you'll see some statements about de-escalation. I think you're seeing those now. And then they'll go back to what they've been doing in the past, which is shooting at each other, but at a relatively low level. Tragically, sooner or later, Hezbollah will kill more Israelis, and the Israelis will respond. But they've been doing this during the current war for 9 months and have been able to avoid a major war on the northern border. So I think there's reason to hope that they'll be able to continue to keep things at a manageable level, tragic, but not the all-out war that we worry about.
Okay. Mark, appreciate your insights and perspective on this today. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me on the show.
That's Mark Cancian. He's a retired U.S. Marine colonel and a senior advisor for the Center for Strategic and International Studies, and he's in Arlington, Virginia.